life, the bright lights, the type the crowd likes. Where you at, ballers? Ladies love me and men, they wanna be me, they pay to come see me. Where you at, ballers?
Magic at Wizards, NBA Shot Clock, Wednesday, March 6th, 2024. An official play under 225. Two divisional opponents playing for the fourth time this year, giving us a lot of information, and the books are telling us quite the numerical story in tonight's matchup. These teams played 3 times before the new year, and the totals were 232, 236, and 237, and the finals were 259, 255, and 246. Now here we are in March, and the line moves down significantly to 226.5. And you ask yourself, why? The league is making a conscious effort to referee the games differently off an all-star game that got absolutely ripped by fans worldwide for a lack of competition, specifically on the defensive end. Washington has been notorious for overs all year, but that was dependent on their pace, not their ability to hit shots. So now that the refs are letting far more contact go, Washington will be shackled to their pace, and this game will play much closer to how Orlando wants to play, slow pace and fourth defensive rating. Buy the under tonight at 225, and let's cash this ticket.
Cavs at Hawks. Junior Browne back with NBA Shot Clock on this Wednesday, March 6th with another free pick, and we're rocking with the Cavs team total over 106.5. I'm not even going to bore y'all with a bunch of statistics. I just think this number is completely wrong. I get it. Vegas has had to adjust to how the Hawks are playing without Trae Young. Their game totals with Trae Young in the lineup were at like 245. Since he's been injured, they're just under 220. Fine. You're not going to convince me that the night after picking up their biggest win of the season, a game that they looked like they were going to lose by margin after the first half, you're not going to convince me that they're going to come off of that high and go play the Hawks and score less than 107 points. Now, they might lose the game because of fatigue, because of lack of resources. Donovan Mitchell's still going to be out. Max Strus might possibly miss this game as well. Again, I'm not buying the Hawks' resurgence. The Hawks are trash. The Hawks are the definition of a team going nowhere fast. The Cleveland Cavaliers have been on an upward trajectory for like 2 months. Yes, Donovan Mitchell's injury has slowed them down a little bit, just a little bit. You want to see who the Hawks really are? Go look at their back-to-back losses to the super trash Brooklyn team. It's some of the worst basketball you'll ever see. That's who the Hawks are. Give me the Cavaliers team total over 106.5, and let's cash another ticket, y'all.
Clippers at Rockets, 7:30 p.m. Toyota Center, Houston, Texas. A national game. We're taking the Clippers officially at -6. The Clippers come into tonight's game at a low point in their calendar. 3-8 last 11 ATS, 2-5 ATS since the All-Star break, off a complete fourth quarter melt on the second leg of a back-to-back at Milwaukee. They lost their legs. Milwaukee didn't have Giannis, and the Milwaukee second unit players turned up like it was Game 7. Now you get a chance to buy a bounce back from the Clippers, and you get an opportunity to fade Houston on their fourth home back-to-back of the year. Very interesting stuff as we detail this Houston spot. Houston is 2-1 ATS on the second leg of a back-to-back at home, but the key point, both of those covers were off of a non-cover night one, and they were against Boston and Milwaukee. It doesn't get much more specific than that, with the two best teams in the East both tanking to Houston in Houston. Their only non-cover in this spot was against Phoenix in a 129-113 loss on December 27th, and we expect margin again tonight. The last time the Clippers played Houston in November, it was in Los Angeles. It was the in-season tournament, and the Clippers were still trying to figure out how to integrate James Harden onto the roster. They were favored -6 at home and did push the spread, and this opens up on the road -6.5, stronger than the home line. This is telling you Clippers by 10 tonight. Buy it, live it, love it, and let's dominate.
Grizzlies at Sixers. Junior Brown back with NBA Shot Clock on this Wednesday, March 6th with another free pick, and we're rocking with the under 209 in this Grizzlies-Sixers game. Two teams really struggling, so we'll start with the Sixers and their obvious struggles without Joel Embiid. They've gone from the third best net rating in the league at 6.5 to the 25th net rating at -6.7. They are 6-9 with Embiid out, and they've been the worst defense in the league during that span. They're allowing 120.4 points per 100 possessions. Now I'm taking the under in this spot for a couple of reasons. One, the Memphis Grizzlies offense is so bad that it's kind of hard to describe. They're scoring 104 points per 100 possessions, which is dead last in the league over the last 2 months. And the 76ers just played last night. Now, the 76ers offense obviously has slowed down a ton as well. They're at about 113 per 100 possessions, which is much better than Memphis. But I just think the situation plus the two teams leads me to the under 209. Memphis can't score a basket. Philly just played last night. Philly really, really struggles to score. Memphis' defense, even though it's not been as elite as it was in the beginning of the season with all these injuries, it's still closer to the top half of the league than what Philly's doing right now. So the only concern I have about this total is Philly's defense possibly falling asleep on the second night of a back-to-back. But again, because of how bad Memphis' offense is, I still don't think it's going to be enough to get over the 209. So give me under 209. Let's cash another ticket, y'all.
Bulls at Jazz, out-of-conference basketball. NBA Shot Clock, Wednesday, March 6th. A top lean in this game, Utah +4. Chicago comes into tonight's game purely in a terrible calendar spot. They just beat Sacramento with a huge fourth quarter comeback. Now they're playing a front-end back-to-back before traveling to Golden State tomorrow night and the Clippers on Sunday. It really is a brutal spot, and Chicago is 3-7 ATS this year on the front end of a back-to-back. The Bulls have also covered 3 straight games in outright wins against the Jazz, so you're getting a triple revenge motivation for a Utah team that is 20-10 ATS at the Delta Center. This team has 4 unique tanks at home to the Eastern Conference this year. I don't think it was anything like Chicago. Tanks came against Charlotte, Philadelphia without Joel Embiid, Detroit, and Orlando. This is where Utah will bring their top quality without Lauri Markkanen, and the star removal theory is very real here. We have this game graded as Utah to potentially win outright. If you want to bet this game, as we give you an angle on every game on NBA Shot Clock, we advise you to take Utah at +4 as the top lean, and let's cash this ticket.
Bucks at Warriors. Junior Brown back with NBA Shot Clock on this Wednesday, March 6th with another free pick. And we're rocking with the under 226 in this Bucks-Warriors game. We're going to ignore the Boston Massacre. Most of Golden State, as a matter of fact, Golden State doesn't even have a starter that played 20 minutes in that game. That's how ridiculously bad they were in that matchup. So let's just ignore that. Other than that game, they've been elite since the All-Star break, and that's come on the defensive end, not with their offense. Their offense is scoring at about just under 113 points per 100 possessions since the All-Star break, which is below average. Their defense, however, is at 104 points per 100 possessions, which is elite. So just to give everyone context, Minnesota is number 1 in the NBA in defensive rating at 108. Golden State, since the All-Star break, it's only a 6-game sample size, are at 104. The number 1 defense in the league since the All-Star break have been the Bucks, though, at 101, which is a crazy number. And a lot of that has to do with their transition defense, which I think is going to be a huge factor in this game because Golden State has been getting out and running. They're playing at one of the faster paces in the league in the last 2 weeks at about 101 possessions per game. Milwaukee's closer to the bottom 5 in pace at about 95-ish. I think Milwaukee's going to try and force their pace, especially if Giannis doesn't play, because Giannis is the ultimate weapon in transition. Without him, they don't even have a reason to run if you look at the makeup of their lineup. Whereas Golden State, that's how they're going to make up for their currently subpar half-court offense by getting out and getting transition baskets. I think Milwaukee, what they've done is a banded offensive rebound to send numbers back and protect their basket, which I think is going to be a factor. And both team defenses are going to continue to play at a high level tonight. Give me the under 226, and let's cash yet another ticket, y'all.
Thunder at Blazers, 10 o'clock, Portland, Oregon, an official play on the late night card. Oklahoma City, minus 11.5, 1 unit. Oklahoma City is on the 4th game of a road trip, flip-flopping wins and losses off a terrible loss in LA on Monday night, where they shot 10 percentage points less than their season average to take a 12-point loss. OKC is 10-6 ATS off a prior outright loss this year, not losing many games and bouncing back with emphasis when they do. This is a great calendar spot to fade Portland. Portland is coming home off a 3-0 ATS road trip to where they have been underperforming at home all year. Portland is 2-8 ATS, last 10 at home, and they are 3-7 ATS coming home in the first game off a road trip. This is the 4th matchup this year between these two teams. The first two featured Oklahoma City absolutely demolishing Portland, 134-91 and 139-77. The third one got tighter, as the Thunder only won by 2 points, but now books are upgrading the road line to minus 12.5 at open, indicating an expectation for a win by 15 points at minimum. We also like them in the first half, a great first half team, and catching Portland off a trip and the aforementioned cluster of covers. That play will drop in the afternoon. 2 officials on this game, an opportunity to dominate. It is NBA Shot Clock on this Wednesday, March the 6th. It is the Shark. It is J.A. Cavalier, and it is Junior Browne. Always bet responsibly, and let's dominate.
Kings at Lakers. Junior Browne back with NBA Shot Clock on this Wednesday, March 6th with another free pick. Rocking with the under 237 in this Kings-Lakers game. I don't think the Lakers are going to make the same mistake they made in the first 2 games. So these teams haven't played since November 15th, so I don't want to take too much from those matchups. But here's the thing, if you ask the average person which of these 2 teams plays at the faster pace, people are going to say the Kings. And you'd be very wrong about that. The Kings are 12th in the league in pace. Lakers are 6th in the league in pace. And the Lakers are actually one of the teams that runs the most in transition. They're right behind Toronto and Washington. And at one point in this season, they were the number 1 transition team in terms of how often they get out on the fast break. Well, they've done that in the first 2 games against the Kings. Games that have been played at literally a stupid pace. Both teams are averaging 110 possessions per game in the 2 games they've played, which is insane. If you go look up the average NBA game, you'll have a really hard time finding one where both teams get 110 possessions. Those are mostly like Washington Wizards games, and you see how that goes for them. Now, the Lakers have done that, and their offense has been super inefficient for whatever reason. In my personal opinion, the Kings look at that situation, they're like, oh yeah, y'all like to run, but we're the young bucks, we're the young guns, we got the legs. The Kings are they're very comfortable playing this style of basketball. So I just believe that the Lakers are going to come with a different approach, probably try to feed the big man, let him go to work, because Sabonis ain't got nothing for Anthony Davis on the defensive end. I think it's going to be a much slower pace than what we've seen so far. Give me the under 237. My best bet of the day. Let's cash yet another ticket, y'all.